Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 25 of Tank Bangers. I'm your host, Joe Abbate. And today over in the Vice, let's get a look at it for a second here. What do we got? We've got another 74 Honda CR250 tank. We've got some dents up front here, and I'm going to attack those through the gas filler spout. You'll be able to watch me work on that. And I don't really know how far we're going to go with the rest of it, but let's get these dents out first, and then we'll take a look at further damage, whatever may be happening there. We'll get a look at all that. Okay. In the meantime, wherever you're watching from, please let me know. We always like to hear where you're watching from, what you might like to see on the show. If you've watched previous episodes and maybe you missed something about sandpaper, something about how we use heat at times, or whatever it may be, feel free to post it in the comments. I'd be happy to address it tomorrow morning. If I see it today and I can answer your question today, I'd be happy to do it today as well. So without any further ado, I'm going to switch these cameras. We're going to move over to the other side and get to work on these dents. Okay. Thanks for joining me. Now, many times when I come out here in the morning, it's just like any other day, except you're kind of getting an inside look at what I'm working on. And many times, I don't really know where I'm going to begin. Sometimes I pick up where I left off yesterday. Other times, I put something in the vise quickly, and we get to work on it. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Putting some prying tools together here. I might need a little heat on this. I should get out my little handy torch while I'm at it. Might be using that in the very near future. And what else do I have here this morning? I got my other camera set up on hyperlapse, so I can keep those little videos, and I send them to the customers so they don't have to spend an hour watching me working on a tank. Send them a hyperlapse, and they're happy. Possibility I'll go in with that guy this morning. I might go in with this guy. Oh, right there. And we're using the golf club like pry tool. Make sure I'm all tightened up in here. I've got my ratchet strap down on the back, so I know the back is tight. So I can double check up here, make sure I got everything tight on the front too. Oh, if you're going to do this too, use a good size washer. You know, as big as you could get in between here and here, you know what I mean? The better. It doesn't spin around. It's not going to cause any further damage to the tank. I also may go with a little hammer-on dolly here because I don't want to pry too hard. I don't want to pry too hard on this. Create a high spot for myself. Let's see what we got. Well, it's either I'm going to do hammer on dolly or I'm going to heat this thing up. And I think I'd rather just tap on it a little bit. if you're going to do this, well, let me finish up and then I'll tell you. See right here? And as I tap, it looks like it's getting longer and it's moving. That's because it is. So what's happening? When I tap on this, and this is on a little bit of an angle, and I've got this inside here and I'm putting pressure on it, this starts to walk. It's good and it's bad. If you know how to do it and you know where you are, you might want to put it on the side of the dent that's on this side. Then as you're tapping, as you come across, it's moving right along and it's starting to work the dent as it's walking across. So it's in your favor. It doesn't happen all the time, but if it should, be aware of it, that whatever it is that you're using for support on the other side, whatever kind of dolly that you're going to be using on the other side, especially something narrow and round, something like that, it's going to start to move as you start to tap on it. Our show today is brought to you by the International Motocross Museum. Be sure to visit them online at internationalmotocrossmuseum.org. All right, we've got a comment. Let me just check out. Good morning, Tim Christie. Good morning, everyone. This is Tim Christie from Fortuna, California. Hi, Tim. Thanks for joining us today. It's good to have you here. Tom Stover is here too. All right. And I wanted to get this real firm sanding block, nice and solid. Tells me a little bit more about what's going on here. All right, so I've got less of an impression here, less of a dent. Well, it's not as deep. It's a little bit wider. That's not a surprise. As you start to sand, you'll always find a little bit more than you think you had. All right, we're back here. I don't know if I can. I am right there, and I do feel that it's come up a little bit without hammering it at all. A little ventilation in the shop would be nice. And we start the day off with the door closed and hopefully you guys can see a little bit what's going on there. Hey, Bill Roberts, thanks for joining us today. Yesterday on Vintage Motocross Q&A I think it was at 5 o'clock, we had the Sue Fish interview. It was a replay, so to speak, of an interview we did with Sue a few years back. but still great information. She talked about the Evel Knievel tour she was on and stunts in Hollywood. So much real great information from Sue Fish. We had Debbie Matthews on Saturday. I got Scott Hybrink this Tuesday at 5. And a rather rare one coming up on Thursday, Steve Stackable. Mako favorite, just a favorite rider all around, Texas guy. Went over to Suzuki at some point, Kawasaki. So that's what's in the hopper for this week. Scott Hybrink and Steve Stackable. Every day at noon, we have Next Time Try This. Usually a little 2, 3, 4 minute segment to give you an idea of what you could try the next time you have whatever problem it may be on your bike. I mean, everybody offers up a little bit of something. Roy Vanderveer, Roger Neff from Brap Suspension, Robert Oscar Pomeroy. Who else do we have in there? I think we have some older stuff from Fritz Bumper. Always valuable Mako information coming in from Fritz. And I've got a lot of my own stuff on there too, that content that I created over the years for the Vintage Motocross Q&A show. I don't know why I feel that I'm forgetting something this morning. I think I mentioned International Motocross Museum. I mentioned the show, the interviews we got coming up. The Next Time Try This segment's every day at noon. Oh, you know what else I did it over the weekend. I posted some older restorations that I've done, but some special bikes, a Nobby Shop International, I think a YZ125C. So those will pop up a little bit later on today in an album form. I put them in the planner so I don't have to stop and my day to do that. And also, not a matter of stopping my day, it's a matter of wanting to present some good content to you. Maybe some things you haven't seen before. So on my Sundays, that's kind of what I do in the afternoon. Go on that Facebook planner. Post some things for the coming week. Mm-hmm. This one I may have to do a little hammer on dolly. It's at the high point of the curve. It's where I'm going to have the most problem keeping that tool steady in there, because when I push on it, it's going to want to walk up. So I'm going to put it there, and I think I'm going to have to just hammer on it just a little bit. See what I was talking about earlier, how it looks like it's getting long? Well, it doesn't look like it. It is getting longer. As I tap on it, Let me know if you guys are getting a good angle from the camera, because it's hard for me to look in here, look down here, and look on the other computer to see if you could actually see what's going on. Hopefully it is. Or hopefully you can see what's going on. All right, got a little nick left in there yet. Now, I've worked on this section on a couple of occasions. It had some other dents up here, some things down in here, and now we got this down in here. It's pretty straight for the most part, but pretty straight is not straight enough. When you're talking about an Elsinore tank, anything that's unpainted, any kind of aluminum tank, Mako, CZ, Elsinore, anything, BSA, got to be straight. There's only one straight. There's only one straight. After that, there are degrees of dented. So I'm going to cover this whole section with one of my favorite tools. Yes, the ubiquitous metal ruler. What does ubiquitous mean? Look it up. It's a good word. You'll use it once you look it up. I used to have a teacher say that to me. How do you spell that? They'd say, look it up. Well, if I knew how to spell it, I wouldn't have to look it up. Well, you kind of know what it is spelled like. Look it up. You'll see other words along the way and you'll learn something. I thought that was a little silly at the time. I think it's very valuable information today. Cover as much as the ruler as possible with your hands. You can't do it like you're doing it on the side of the tank where I show it to you sometime. But over here, you could still cover as much as you can. Not too much pressure, not too fast. This also will reveal, well, this is 80 grit, and I'm still seeing a little bit of a, well, I had that little pock mark right there, and I'm still seeing a little tiny spot where the sandpaper isn't hitting. But as you get to this process, when you think the thing is pretty straight, and you go like this, and it's, yeah, you feel a little bit of a wave. So you go and get this, the ruler, and you go and get the 80 grit, and you start to go over it, and you start to get down 80, 180, 240. Some little low spots are going to be exposed. You want that. You want to be able to see that. And then you have to go back, and then you do it again. You may not go back to the 80 grit again. You may start at 240, but you're going to go back, and you're going to do it again. And that's what makes it perfect. Not just a matter of getting the big dents out, guys. Yeah, it's a matter of getting the big dents out when somebody wants to use body filler and they can get it up within a 16th of an inch and they feel they can put a skim coat on it. Yeah. But not if you're doing raw roof. Never a bad time to mention some of our other sponsors of the Vintage Motocross Q&A show, including Motion Pro, Full Circle Racing, Bultaco East. Some of our supporters, including Fast Guy Stuff, Sunrise Vapor Blasting, Amsoil, the Moto Barn, Racer X Preston Petty Products. Sad news out of Iowa this weekend. Curtis Leverton, founder of Vintco, tragically was killed in a bicycle accident. I don't know all the details of that, but if well, you'll probably see them as they pop up on Facebook if somebody has something to say. Of course, our condolences to the family and friends of Curtis Leverton. Vintco has been a sponsor of Vintage Motocross Q&A for almost 5 years now. Got a little pock mark right there. Got one right there. Got a little low spot right there. Actually, I've got a little pock mark there, and there. And I got a little low spot right up here. We'll chip away at those for a couple of minutes. We'll get it back. Who else is here with us this morning? Joe Ornelas, thank you for being here. Bill Roberts, Tom Stouffer, I mentioned you guys earlier. Swamp Picker, hey, good morning to you, brother. Robert Charles Lighties, looking good, Joe. Thanks, man. I appreciate you being here whenever you can. Maybe you could share the show. Let some other people know you're watching Tank Bangers. a web segment of Vintage Motocross Q&A. It's on every day at 9 o'clock. Right before this at 8:55, the Moto Minute. You guys been catching the Moto Minute at all? 60-second history lesson brought to you by yours truly and Vintage Motocross Q&A. And I do it on the day. So in other words, when I did today's Moto Minute, I talked about what happened on whatever today's date is, July 14th, which is kind of interesting, I think. I'm over here right now on the low spot. I'm going to move over to that little pin mark. If I could move it, I don't know. If not, yeah. Now I'm over on this one. Good. Let's see what's happening up here. Ooh, easy to move the metal up this way. Easy to move it because I'm right here at the inlet. You know, I've only got that much, so I've got plenty of leverage from the tool going across that thing. A little high from the pine. Okay. Now, Whenever you sand with your hand, sand with the paper in the flat of your hand like that. If you can. You're going to be tempted to do this at times, and that's okay for a second here and there if you got a little something going on. But for the most part, try and do that, because if you do this, you're going to get a divot, a low spot. You're going to wind up going back in there having to pry it up. Just got a little mark over here. Right there. For that matter, I got a scratch over here, a mark here, 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 and here. Not all that worried about those just yet. They're very, very light, not too deep in the metal. As I'm sanding, they'll probably come out. And if they don't, well, then I'll get underneath there and pry them out, and they will be out eventually. And yet I'm a little high right here too. All right. I don't know if I can get it with this or not. We're going to try it. If not, we'll do something else. That was that. where the tank folds over right here, and I am standing there. I don't want to ruin that line of where it curves over. So I stay a little bit more because I've got a little wavy across the top here and a little bit over here, but I don't want to go over. The next thing you know, I'm going to take away that nice curve that was there. So I'll stay a little bit more on the flat side of the top and a little bit more on the flat side of the front. Okay. Need a little break here, fellas. Oh. TV wants to know, Joe, do you have any concern with deforming the cap area when you're prying? Sure, I do. I absolutely do. And I've been telling you guys that I'm going to show you what to do if you have that problem. I don't generally have it when I'm working on it. I'm concerned with it, yes. But I also know the right amount of pressure to put on the prying tools that are in there. And if I have to pry too hard, where I think I'm going to start putting pressure on that spout and it's going to bend, that's when I go to the heat. Put the heat on it, I have to pry less. However, a lot of tanks come through here with that area smashed down. I'm going to try and find one for you right now. And if I can. This one's not too bad. It's really not bad at all. But it will need a little attention. I have to show you, I get in there with a screwdriver and pry against the tunnel and just twist the screwdriver as if I'm trying to take a screw out, and it raises that side. Then I keep that screwdriver in there and move this way. So while the one screwdriver is supporting the side I already picked up, it also holds it up so when I pry this side, it doesn't drop down again. It's really a visual, not something that's easy for me to explain. But someday I will show you. I will show you how to do that. In fact, I'm going to leave a note here for myself. That tomorrow, Tuesday, it only takes a minute, but I'll show you how to do that. And then we'll go on with the rest of the show. So yeah, good question, TV. I'm still interested in knowing who you are, though, TV. What else we got? Yeah, we've got me going back to work. That's what we got. Yeah, a little bit of an angle, but the glare is still not. Okay. Okay, those are gone. Now, I've got a little bit of a scratch down here. Well, I'm not even seeing it now. Why? Shave a little bit. It's on this side. Here's the line. It's between that line here. Between that line and that line. Maybe. $240. All right. I went down to 240 with it in my hand. I feel ever so slight little wobble in here. I mean, I don't really want to start prying on it. I know it's going to make it high. It's probably as close as I'm going to get it with prying and hammer on dolly without starting to creating more work for myself by making it too high, tapping it, making it, giving myself more than I need to do in order to get it totally straight. So we went through the 80, 180. We're down to the 240. You know, when I saw some low spots in there earlier, and I saw those when we were only at 180, I went and I took them out, the nick, the little dent. So there's no need for me to go back up to 80 again and then 180. It's pretty smooth. Just a little wobbly. So I'm going to go after it with the 240 now. A low spot right here. And remember, guys, you could take out high spots where it's a little wavy, you feel a high spot. But if you've got a low spot like that, you cannot sand it out unless you're going to sand this whole section just to make it even with this low spot. And that's not something you really want to get into. Go back down here. Right on it. Just going to give it a little pry. I don't even see the metal moving. I just know I'm putting some pressure on it. I'm moving it around that low spot. I don't want to see the metal move in this situation. If I do, I know I've gone too far. certainly has gotten smaller. Okay. I'm going to get back after it with this 240 a little bit again. All right. Okay. $400. Nice. Very nice, if I do say so myself. Anyway, I was looking at my hyperlapse camera. All right. This is what we've been working on this morning for about the past hour. Had a couple of low spots there, had a couple of nicks. Nicks and low spots. I mean, here we spent an hour and I wouldn't even say it really had any serious dents. But we still spent an hour. We still spent an hour cleaning up that area. Here, maybe tomorrow we'll look at this. See this back here? I don't know. I might go on with that today. I might have some other things to work on. Also, I don't know if I can get it. If I can show you right here, going down the side of the tank. See if you see a little light. See it there? How that happens is, all you need to do is brush against that raw aluminum next to almost anything. Plastic, a cardboard box. When it's that smooth and raw, it is truly susceptible to getting little marks on it again. So you got to be careful when you're moving around. And that's where I'm at for today. Today's show was, of course, brought to you by the International Motocross Museum, which is a not-for-profit 501c3 organization. Be sure to visit them online at internationalmotocrossmuseum.org. I'm Joe Abbate. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:55 with another Moto Minute, and then we'll be here banging our brains in at Tank Bangers at 9 a.m. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, next time, try this coming up at noon. We've got interviews this week. I've got some beautiful restorations that are going to be popping up. Something always happening at Vintage Motocross Q&A all day long. Thanks for watching, guys.